Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual, man. You guys know the deal on this channel. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, man. Setting the record straight. You guys know that, man. And in this video, we're going to talk about Shaquille O'Neal, man. Again, I've done videos on Shaquille O'Neal and how he aggravates me. I love Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player, the personality. But when Shaquille O'Neal speaks about himself, man, this way he loses me. He comes on these podcasts, he comes in these interviews, and he just always talks about how dominant he was and I'm the most dominant of all time. And I heard him make some comments about how, you know, the GOAT, there's a lot of people in the GOAT conversation, but there's only two people in the most dominant conversation. He's always doing this, and he flip-flops. Sometimes he'll say that there's no one as dominant as him. He'll downplay Wilt Chamberlain. And then other times he'll try to say it was just him and Wilt Chamberlain. And I've told you guys what. Shaquille O'Neal is not dominant like Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan was way more dominant than Shaquille O'Neal ever was. Ever was, guys. And we're going to talk about how Shaquille O'Neal was not dominant in this video, man. We're going to talk about a couple of things here, man. Because once again, this guy, he's delusional here, man. He really is. We talk about dominance. I've told you guys, he's using the word wrong. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states has been supporting my channel, guys. I'm truly humbled by all support, guys, for real, man. It means a lot. Thank you for standing up with me, guys. I know, man, I get crazy on this channel, man, and I really appreciate you guys rolling with me. Like I said, standing up with me, man. Real recognize real. I'm giving you guys the honest facts here, man. I'm being real with you guys. There's no agendas here, man. There's no gimmicks here, man. None of this, no narratives, no lies. We're setting the record straight, man. You guys know that, man. So much respect to all you guys out there. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, hold on a second here. So, yes, guys, I want to talk about Shaquille O'Neal briefly. He's been making some headlines over the last week or so with some of the comments that he's made. He's always saying weird things to me or crazy, outlandish, hyperbolic statements when he talks, especially as it relates to him. But he's made some comments recently about Rudy Gobert being the worst player in NBA's history. And, you know, we get all of that, man. Shaquille O'Neal, he says, like I said, he says things. He's a funny guy. He's a really cool personality. He's got charisma and all that stuff. So I respect Shaquille O'Neal, his personality. Like I said, what he brought to the NBA in the 90s when he came in. And like I said, I respect his game and what his career and what he did. Now, I told you guys, I believe that Shaquille O'Neal was an underachiever. I believe that he could have been so much more, so much greater, especially on the defensive end, rebounding wise. To me, Shaquille O'Neal left something in the tank on that end of the court. Being in shape, coming into camp in shape and taking that stuff more serious. That's where Shaquille O'Neal underachieved, which affected his longevity in his career. And like I said, just the way that he was able to perform on the court. So, yes, in my opinion, he underachieved, but he's still an all-time great player. But oftentimes, I think over the last several years, you get a lot of these people that listen to Shaquille O'Neal and they believe the hype. So Shaquille O'Neal will come on an interview, he'll come on a podcast, and he'll talk about he's the most dominant player in history. He'll say it all the time, I'm the most dominant player in the history of the game. There's no one dominant than me. And I laugh, I almost cringe, because we know that sometimes he'll give Wilt Chamberlain props and sometimes he won't. But when he uses the word dominant, he's not being accurate. Shaquille O'Neal means, or should be saying, the most physically dominant player in the history of the game. Yes, you can argue Shaquille O'Neal was the most physically dominant player in the history of the game. His size, his stature, and he was allowed to use that size and that physicality in the era he played in. That's why I say it would have been really interesting to see what Wilt Chamberlain could have done if Wilt Chamberlain was allowed to do the things that Shaquille O'Neal was allowed to do in the 90s and the 2000s. Bang people and use all of his body weight and just slam into them and all this stuff. Wilt Chamberlain's not allowed to play the game that way, even though he could have physically dominated a lot of these guys. That's how that game was played. That's how they officiated the game. They were restricted Wilt Chamberlain, right? That wasn't the case with Shaquille O'Neal. So when he talks about his dominance, though, he really means to say physical dominance. He's one of the most physically dominant, or the most physically dominant player that we've seen in NBA's history. Like I said, really no one could compete with him physically, stature-wise, except for like that makes it maybe like a Wilt Chamberlain. Now, was Shaquille O'Neal one of the strongest players in NBA's history? Yeah, maybe he's one of the strongest guys, but there were other guys like Wilt Chamberlain or an Artis Gilmore, maybe a Nate Thurman, or Ben Wallace. Some of these other guys that probably were stronger than Shaquille O'Neal. So, when Shaquille O'Neal says dominance, I'm not vibing with it. I don't buy it. Because I've told you guys in this channel, and I broke it down in a video. Michael Jordan was way more dominant than Shaquille O'Neal. Dominance, guys. The man got 2 3-peats. Dominated the 90s, statistically, accolades-wise, and championship-wise. He dominated off-the-court success, movies, commercials, endorsements. He dominated that more so than Shaquille O'Neal ever did in the 2000s or the 90s. He never did that. So, to me, Michael Jordan was more dominant. What do you hear Shaquille O'Neal say? I was afraid of Michael Jordan. He's the only guy that I would never talk. I was scared of Michael Jordan. So, obviously, he was more dominant than you were. You were scared of him. You were literally scared. So, how dominant were you when you were scared of Michael Jordan? Remember, guys, after the 1996 NBA season, when the Chicago Bulls swept the Orlando Magic in the first round, Shaquille O'Neal ran away from Michael Jordan Eastern Conference. He ran away from him to the West. He ran away. So how dominant are you and you're running away from a real, true dominant player? So once again, Shaquille O'Neal should be saying physically dominant, not dominant. Because Michael Jordan was way more dominant. Let's think about Shaquille O'Neal in this one aspect. Do you guys know how many times Shaquille O'Neal played 82 games in a season? How many times do you guys think he played 82 games in a season? Go ahead, you guys think about it for a second. Remember, his name is Shaq Diesel. Shaq's always flexing, talking about how strong he is, all these things. The man never played 82 games in a season, guys. Not one single time. Now, his first 2 years in the league, he did play 81 games, so much respect to him. It ain't 82, though. And you can say whatever you want. 81 games ain't 82, right? If you're going for perfect attendance in school and you miss one day, guess what? You don't get perfect attendance. I only missed one day. It wasn't perfect attendance. You missed a game. Shaquille O'Neal never played 82 games in a season. The only reason I bring that up and I highlight it is because, once again, like I just said, his nickname is Shaq Diesel. Shaq even himself talks about how dominant he was. Yeah, you're physical dominance. Shaquille O'Neal, man, you couldn't even play 82 games in a season one time. Not even one time. So really, how physically dominant were you? You couldn't even dominate by playing 82 games every season. Once again, I'm highlighting this because Shaquille O'Neal, and the words that he uses to describe himself all these years later, he couldn't even play 82 games in a season. He wasn't durable enough. And why was that? Because like I said earlier, Shaquille O'Neal was underachieving. He did not take care of himself the way he should have. He did not take it as serious as he should have, his overall conditioning and fitness. He didn't do it. He was too busy making movies and making rap videos, doing commercials instead of working on his game and working on his conditioning and being the best version of himself. That's why Shaquille O'Neal underachieved. No matter how great people say he wasn't, how great he actually was, he could have been greater. That's the problem for someone like Shaquille O'Neal. Those are the facts. This is why he's not dominant or more dominant or the most dominant and not more than Michael Jordan. Go look at how many times Will Chamberlain played 80 games, guys. Go look how many times. There were seasons where Will Chamberlain played more than 48 minutes a game. The man never, he like barely ever came out of a game. The man would just be on the court 45, 46, 40, 48 minutes a game. That's Will Chamberlain, guys, playing every single game, fighting through injuries. His last 3 years in the NBA, in an advanced age, his mid-30s, this man played 82 games every season. Shaquille O'Neal could not sniff that for 3 seasons in a row at that age. Couldn't sniff it. So how dominant were you? Once again, the physical dominance of Shaquille O'Neal can't be denied, but once again, let's think about this. Can you guys name me the players that Shaquille O'Neal was dominating? Let's think about it. Was he dominating in the 90s, the era? Oh, it was literally, guys, a renaissance of centers in the 90s, guys. It was a renaissance for the center position. All these great centers, including Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal did not make an all-NBA first team, guys, until I believe the 1998 NBA season. He did not win an MVP in the 90s. He did not make an all-defensive team in the 90s. Never won a rebounding title. Never won a shot block title. None of this stuff, guys, in his career. Not one. Not one. At that size. And what's one of the major reasons why? Because of all the great centers that were in the 90s. The Hakeem Olajuwons, the Dikembe Mutombos, right? The Patrick Ewings, right? The Mark Eatons. These are the guys that were there, the Rick Smiths. These are the great centers that were in the league in the 90s. This Shaquille O'Neal was going against David Robinson, Vlade Divac. There was a lot of really good players, man. A lot of really great defensive players. So Shaquille O'Neal's not making any all defensive teams. Alonzo Mourning, who came in the same year as Shaquille O'Neal. won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, Alonzo Mourning. Not Shaquille O'Neal. So you're talking about all these great big men, right? All these great defensive players. Shaquille O'Neal was not winning anything in the 90s, right? He went to the finals in 1995, guys, and squared off against one of the legendary centers in the history of the game, Hakeem Olajuwon, and he got beat. He got swept 4 games to nothing. And I'm not saying Shaquille O'Neal played bad in the finals. He was not horrible, but he was outplayed handedly by Hakeem Olajuwon, who was many years older than Shaquille O'Neal at that time. Still outperformed him. So once again, when Shaq talks about the dominance that he had in his career, he was dominant, or he became dominant in the 2000s. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. But all those other guys were gone. Patrick Ewing was gone. Hakeem Olajuwon was gone. David Robinson was what? In his last legs. Mutombo was old. Mark Eaton's gone. Rick Smith is gone. You guys know the deal, man. These are the facts. Shaquille O'Neal never played 82 games in a season. Never led the league in rebounds, shot blocks. Never made an all-defensive team in the 90s, going against legit defensive guys. And I believe he only made, what, 3 in his career? That's not impressive for someone that size. Once again, Shaquille O'Neal not giving the effort out there on the court. Not keeping himself in condition. So you're not the most dominant player. Maybe you're the most physically dominant. Maybe you're the most physically dominant player of that early 2000s. Yeah, you can turn around and say, yo, Shaq, man, he was physically dominant in the early 2000s. Once again, who's he going against? Yao Ming? The guys he was going against in the 90s, he did not dominate those guys. And Shaquille O'Neal's great. But to me, Shaquille O'Neal is maybe a number 5 center all time. If you had to take all the top centers in NBA's history, guys, is Shaquille O'Neal number 1? Is he number 2? Then how the hell is he the most dominant? How is he the most dominant? He's not even the most dominant player or the best player at his position. And then for Shaquille O'Neal to say, oh, there's a lot of GOATs, a lot of people in the GOAT conversation, but it's only a couple people in the most dominant. No. Once again, we can talk about dominance in different areas. Larry Bird won 3 MVPs in a row. Bill Russell won 3 MVPs in a row. Is that dominance? You're dominating. You're winning all these MVPs in a row. Shaq never did that. The man won 1 MVP. Not to knock him, but come on, man. Michael Jordan won 7 straight scoring titles. That's domination. Domination. 2 3-peats. You're dominating. John Stockton, 9 straight assist titles. Domination. Dennis Rodman, how many rebounding titles in a row did Dennis Rodman have? 7, 8? That's domination on the board. You're dominating. Where's the domination from Shaquille O'Neal in any area of the game? What? Missing free throws? Dunking the ball? Oh, crazy. Shaquille O'Neal dunked a lot. Good for him. Not buying it, guys. Shaquille O'Neal is not the most dominant player. Maybe he's the most physically dominant. But to me, he's not the most dominant, man. He's not up there. Michael Jordan was way more dominant. That's why Shaquille O'Neal ran away from Michael Jordan. He didn't want to stay in the Eastern Conference anymore and battle against Michael Jordan. He ran away. There's a dominance. Yeah, look, Shaquille O'Neal was great in the finals. He dominated Rick Smith. He dominated old Mutombo and old Rick Smith. He dominated Jason Collins and Todd McCullough. Good for him. He did what he was supposed to do. But where was that dominance against Hakeem Olajuwon? Where was all that dominance in the 90s? Where are you dominant on the boards? On defense? Your leadership? Your conditioning? 82 games never? You guys know the deal, man. To me, Shaquille O'Neal is behind guys like Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm putting him behind those guys, man. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then maybe Shaquille O'Neal. But then he's still battling with guys like Moses Malone. To me, that's somewhere where Shaq is. Top 5, top 6. Says of all time. Those are the facts. Those are the facts, guys. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.